Sims fans. This week, I took a basic Maxis spa and turned it into the ultimate luxury sim experience in our Sim York. For those of you new to my channel, we've been building our own metropolis based on my beloved New York City. Check out the links in the description below so you can catch up on this amazing series. Let's get started. Hey gang, it has been a while. I have been studying, as some of you know who follow me regularly. If you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome. I am continuing with our Sim York series. This is the spa renovation, and I thought this would be easy. I am studying for a large state test, and I needed something that wasn't going to take too much brain power. I'm going to also put a link in the description down below because I thought I also had gotten some corruption from a download that I had put in Sim York as I was messing around. So sometimes when I have a break, I'm messing around trying to straighten out whatever is causing problems in Sim York. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the corruption. I will do an entire video at some point about that. I just don't have the time right now. But we're going to talk a little bit about corruption. We're going to talk about what's going on, obviously, with your tipsy mommy here. And we're going to talk about what was I thinking? Not what Maxis was thinking, because all their builds are a little strange. But what did I want to have happen, and why did I do what I did here in this spa? On the screen, you are going to see me struggle with where to place the elevators in this build. I placed them in the back, which I kind of liked, but then I realized you couldn't get around the steps, and so I'm going to move them around to the side of the building just because I thought it would make routing easier. My original thought was, let's just leave that entire back where the pool and the exercise area are alone. Maxis did what they did, and we're just going with it. Like, yes, that weird shape makes absolute sense. We're just going to work with the front of the building. So some things I was thinking about with the front of the building, I wanted luxury. I felt they should have a juice bar or something of some sort. They should have massage and a sauna, like we're going to the spa in the city. This is Sim York. My two Sims that are my playtest Sims are technically my Nina and Dina wannabes. Some of the issues that I had were at the original problems. Nina and Dina and their poor cat, Miss Priss, had been moved to the city. I thought, wouldn't it be fun to kind of have all of the Sims from Pleasant View, kind of those ones that we love, kind of have a Sex in the City thing going on. And once the corruption started, it seemed like they just embodied a lot of the problems. So I had to, they are in limbo at this point because they have so many problems. So anyway, I wanted these two girls, I moved them into an apartment. And so they're kind of our midtown girls. They're supposed to be our Nina, Dina wannabes. And that is one of the reasons why they come to the spa. Don't ask me why I couldn't just put in any two Sims and have them go anywhere. And, you know, they had to be going to the spa because in my head, they're my Nina Dina replacements, and Nina and Dina, they were supposed to be kind of aspiring models or whatever in the city, and this is why we needed a luxury spa for them to go to. So I'm sure that makes sense to everybody that in the middle of my studying and corruption, I had to play towards the story that was going on in my head for these two Sims. If I can draw your attention to the building and the craziness of the elevators on the screen, I am sure you're thinking, what in the world are you doing, Tipsy Mommy? And why is the back of the elevators not covered with some kind of wall? When you get to the end of a lot, there is a barrier. And unless you put in sheets, you cannot build all the way to the end of a lot. You can use some, what is it called, fencing all the way to the end of the lot, but you cannot actually put walls to the end of the lot. So that's the kind of craziness that you're seeing going on with the elevators. Now, then you're going to see me messing around with a bar. You saw me a couple of times try to place a cute little white bar downstairs. I thought it was too close to the rounded seating area sofa downstairs. I like the idea of maybe having a place where the Sims could buy high-end exercise clothes or spa clothes. So I come upstairs, and instead of just doing a little tiny bar, I think, well, now I'm up here, we're going to do a big bar. The original thought was it was going to be a juice bar, but once I got to this point, I thought, well, let's do an entire bar. And I wasn't going to use any custom content because I was still dealing with some of the crashing and possible corruption issues, and I was just putting in custom content a little bit at a time. But you're going to see me here. I just couldn't help myself. So for the bar, I did use some Sims 4-2 custom conversion items. Once I settled on the fact that we were going to have a full-on bar experience, that was when I actually settled on the fact that there was going to be a full-on restaurant experience, and that's how this second floor became a restaurant. I know sometimes I have fully executed plans and I draw like them out with stick figures. I'm not a real artist, but I usually have some kind of plan that I put together, or I write an entire script. Not so with this. It was, I needed a little juice bar downstairs, and I felt a massage table upstairs. It just needed to be a better spa. You know, in my head, I needed a spa. And then once I got the bar going, I decided, well, if we're gonna have a full bar, then we need a restaurant. And I felt the restaurant was going to be something like maybe organic, farm to table. And I like to have places where my Sims can come and do more than one type of thing. Restaurants tend to be a favorite pastime of mine because your Sims get hungry, and I am not a big let's grill sort of girl. So restaurants work for me, or those cute little kiosk items are great. I felt that we could have put a kiosk here somewhere, but I didn't think you're going to be taking a lot of children to the spa, so a restaurant works. I don't know if you know this, but kids cannot eat at a restaurant by themselves, whereas if you have one of the little kiosks, they can walk on up to the kiosk and just have a meal. When I was looking for tables to use, I did not want to use any custom content tables. Like I said, I did go out of my way to try to use as little custom content as possible because this was for play testing. I did end up using these cute little white tables, which I think ended up looking very good. I tend to like to use these in my homes because the cute little table can be changed for different seasons. So let's say if you were going to decorate for Christmas, or if you're going to decorate for fall, you could come in here and change it for particular holidays. I tend not to do a lot of that, but I like to think that I'm going to do that. And that is especially important in Sim York. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below how many of you actually live in a real big city in New York. If you've ever watched something like Sex and the City and they talk about how all the windows are decorated, or that you would go to a pub or a restaurant and it's overly decorated for a season, that is so true. I lived in Midtown and I lived on the Upper East Side and I worked there. And in Manhattan, no matter what holiday it is, it's always over the top. At least it was before I moved out. I don't know how it's been over the last couple of years, but I mean, it was an extravaganza no matter what you did. And also, a lot of times, your apartment kitchens were too small. I mean, really, my stove looked like something like from a Barbie kitchen. So you weren't doing a lot of cooking in your own apartment. They were too small. And a lot of times you would go to these restaurants where they would have specials for the holiday, and they'd be amazingly decorated. Even like the local high-end pub would do this, and you would go and you'd have your holiday meal, and you might have them with a friend. So like, unless your friends had amazing apartments that overlooked Times Square or the park, Central Park, typically you were in smaller apartments, and then you would end up going to one of these restaurants. I did one time. I had a friend who owned a diner. I did do that one year, but most of the time we would go to 5 Milestone or one of those places, and they would just do a fun sort of holiday meal. No matter what the holiday was, it would be amazingly decorated. They had great food. And so that's why for me, when I'm thinking of Sim York, I'm thinking, well, if we're going to have a holiday, of course these places would want to decorate for the holiday. Also, I like the idea of, for our higher end places, soft lighting. I'm sure you guys have been to places where you walk in and just the ambiance and the lighting sets the mood. A lot of my favorite places that were a little bit more upscale, they always had lovely soft lighting, and it just set a beautiful ambiance. And I feel like this more softer lighting for our restaurant just adds to the mood. When putting some decorations around the walls, I just wanted to keep the items, things like butterflies or plants or wood things, because I'm thinking, well, it's a spa. And then as I'm going around here and I'm looking, I think, oh, you know what? I never did put a massage table or a sauna anywhere. Now what am I going to do? So this is why the whole roof is done, and now we've got to do a third floor. Yes, it's true. The third floor came out of just basic necessity, because I've actually come to the lot thinking I just didn't like coming here. It was boring. I was thinking, let's put up a juice bar and maybe a sauna or a massage table. I'm sure I can squeeze them in. And then I went crazy with the bar and the restaurant, and now I am out of time for my studying. I need to go back to work, and here we are. I need to get this done. I didn't want to have to come back to it, and I don't know. I just thought, let's just finish it. We're going to do the third floor, and that's how this got going. It really did kind of get together pretty quickly. I did take some time to fix what I thought would be nice windows. I liked putting all the windows across the back in the restaurant, because I thought, well, it'd probably be pretty to look out at the pool. And so I used those same windows up at the top. I did then go in and change some of the wall colors just to make it look a little bit more cohesive, so that the downstairs worked with the second floor. Do not ask me what I did then on the third floor. I think what happened when I got to the third floor is that some of the items came from the vacation pack, and I needed wall hangings and all of that stuff. And I got some of the items from the vacation pack. So I ended up using some of the Asian inspired items from one of the vacation packs. And then it ended up being like some other group and owns the entire third floor. And you'll see what I mean as we keep going. I did finally get my sauna and my massage table. I do end up putting a second massage table when I decide I don't want my salon chair. My kids joke with me that no matter what lot I'm doing, there is always a woo-hoo space. So there you go. The sauna is your space for woo-hoo. Although in my games, I always play with a mod that ups the ante for if things are too hot or too cold. So you can actually die in my game from overheating. So this could be a deadly woo-hoo spot. So You can come up here and have a woohoo happy ending in my spa. I know that that's a little racy, but I guess it's true. I didn't think of that when I originally did it, but my kids were happy to point that out to me. In my defense, I did not realize I had put a woohoo spot, and I did fight viciously against that until my daughter mentioned the sauna. So I am mentioning it here because it was a whole item of contention the other night when I was editing. Behind me is the cat Lucian. I don't know if you can hear him meowing. He has been meowing through this entire video. Please refer to my short. I think I'll put a link in the comments below about how much he hates when I am editing sim content, but he is being extremely loud and obnoxious this evening. Then I went in here and I was putting some of the posters from one of the vacation islands, and then this is kind of where things go off the rail, and I decide I guess somebody else owns the upstairs of the spa, and we do one massage room from the one area in vacation, and then the other I guess is from Tweaky Island, and then we've got the tea room, and then I go into the Sims 4 to 2 Snowy Escape and use a couple of posters there and the cute little curtains or shades for on the windows, but it looks good, so I kept it. The lot worked perfectly fine when I tested it. In a couple of minutes, you will see some stills and some play testing of the lot, and you can tell me exactly what you think of it. Let me know in the comments down below how I did. Also, I think I am going to do maybe, I was going to say 100 baby challenge. I'm going to call it 100 baby challenge, but we need to see if I get through 3 baby challenge. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see something like that or some sort of gameplay video. Anyway, it has been wonderful talking to you all. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing more of you guys after all this testing is over. Thanks for watching. I wish you happy simming, and bye-bye.